What's up, Sneaky Nation? Sneaky P here, back with all the news after week 17 in year number 2 of our San Francisco 49ers franchise. The 49ers needed a victory over the New Orleans Saints for a chance to make the playoffs. Whether or not that happens, we don't know yet. We will find out shortly, but first, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from week 17. The 49ers and the Saints were in a shootout in this one. 49ers would strike first on second down and 17. The former St. Willie Sneed up to the 45 or 49-yard line. Then on third down and 5, Sneed again against the Saints, a team he was with last year. Then on third down and 10, it is Aaron Burbridge delivering the first down. He would take it down to the 17-yard line. And then on first and 10, Dimitri Todman in motion, but it's Quentin Patton on the right side of the field that would get the 49ers on the board. They would take an early 7-0 lead. Drew Brees and the Saints looking to answer, though, and this is going to be Coby Fleener, the tight end. 49ers defense struggles against tight ends, and today was no exception. On fourth down and 8, the Saints would kick a field goal to get on the board, and we have a 7-3 ball game. But two plays later, actually one play later here, it's going to be Dimitri Todman, and then one other play. This time, it is going on the left side to Shaquan Fryer, and he would take it to the house. The 49ers on top 14-3 early on in this one. And like I said, it was a shootout. The Saints looking to respond here, and over the middle, it's Brandon Cooks. He would take it across midfield. Then on first down and 10, Breeze going to connect with Brown all the way down to the 17-yard line. Then on second down and 6, it is Jeremy Hill coming over in free agency from the Bengals. He would take it in for a Saints touchdown, and we have a 14-10 ball game. But on the ensuing kickoff, it is Kirkland Marion from the 1-yard line, and he would get the blocks he needs. He uses his speed, and he would take it all the way. The 49ers on top 21-10 early on in the second quarter, but the 49ers are not done yet. They would get the ball back on second down and 11. Over the middle, it's Dimitri Todman, and he would take it to the house. Kessler staying in the pocket, delivered a huge hit on that play, but he still stood there long enough to make it happen. 27-10 would be the score. I do believe I missed the extra point there. I apologize about that. Fleener all the way down to the 3-yard line, and then on fourth and goal, the Saints going to settle for a field goal. 49ers red zone defense still playing well. This is Kirkland Marion on the left side with about a minute to go before halftime. That would give the 49ers an opportunity to try to make something happen. However, Kessler is going to find Robertson on the play, and the Saints would get the ball back. A chance to get some more points on the board with about a little less than a minute to go. Fleener going to fumble the ball. Sean Kendall delivering the hit, but Riley Cooper is there to recover. The Saints would kick another field goal here, and we have a 27-16 ball game going into the second half. However, midway through the third, Dimitri Todman for his second touchdown of the day. That would put the 49ers up 34-16. However, Drew Brees going to find Fleener. He would take it down to the 15-yard line. Then on second down and 8, Brees finding Ingram and finding his way across the goal line through 3 49ers defenders, and the Saints are starting to come back into this game. However, 49ers have other plans. Carlos Hyde picking up the first down. That would set up this 49ers field goal here. 37-23 would be the score. Drew Brees still trying to get the Saints back into it, and he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Using his time, and he will connect with Fleener down the left side of the field. He would take it all the way to the 41-yard line of 49er territory. Then on first and 10 from the 28-yard line, Breeze, time to work with down the left side. He has Brandon Cooks wide open. Avery was pulled into the middle of the field, leaving Cooks open on the play, and the Saints are right back in this, but they're not done yet. Under 2 minutes to go, they would get the ball back. Fleener down the field, first and 10. Breeze going to connect with Fleener again. The tackle is missed by Sean Kendall, and Fleener would take it to the end zone. Touchdown for the Saints. However, Cody Kessler and the 49ers under a minute to work with. 3 timeouts to go. Aaron Lissamore injured on the play. It doesn't matter. The 49ers would take it into field goal territory, and with 1 second to go, they would kick a field goal through the uprights with a 40-37 victory over the New Orleans Saints. Now it is time to find out whether or not that was going to be enough. The 49ers had to get a win for a chance to earn a wild card spot. However, The 49ers needed a bunch of other things to go right, and it really was a small chance of it happening. The only thing we can really do is hit ready to advance, go to the wild card round, and see if the 49ers did enough to make it into the playoffs. Again, it's not going to look good, but here we go. Maybe we'll catch a break. We'll have to see what happens around the NFL here. But the time has come. 49ers wild card round. They finished 9-7. Was it enough to make it happen this year? And it was not. The 49ers did not make the wild card round. It was a long shot anyway. Getting a win over the Saints was a good sign, maybe. It just wasn't enough. Too little, too late. That loss to the Rams really killed them. We do have one press question today by NYEA. Will Kessler be the starting quarterback next year, or will you be looking at free agency or the draft for a new one? And right now, we've been thrilled with Cody Kessler. That said, we are still going to be looking for another quarterback, at the very least, to get that competition in there. You know, we might be sticking with Kessler moving forward. He certainly did everything he needed to do to earn the job. He played great against the Saints, obviously. He struggled at times this year, especially in Week 16. We saw him struggle a bit there, but he's a young quarterback. That's to be expected. That's going to happen. We do feel comfortable if he were to be our starter next year, but if we find somebody in the draft that we really like, that guy's certainly going to challenge for the job too. We'll just kind of have to wait and see how the offseason plays out. Let's go ahead and check out all of the scores from around the NFL. The Eagles would get a 27-21 victory over the Chicago Bears. The Eagles now 7-9 on the season. The Bears now at 10-6. And once again, Whittington found himself on the bench for this. So Bears certainly a team that probably are in the playoffs at this point, I would guess. We'll find out all of the standings a little bit later on in this video. But if we barely missed out at 9-7, I would imagine the Bears at 10-6 have probably earned themselves a spot. Now, the interesting thing about that is the Bears went 3-13 last year, so a huge turnaround for this team. Even the Eagles, who only finished 7-9 on the year, went 4-12 last season, a big improvement for them. There's Tremaine Brock on the Eagles, who we traded over there, getting an interception on the day. 41-0, the Lions with a blowout victory over the Cowboys here, and Dak Prescott, no touchdowns, 6 interceptions on the day. The Lions finished 9-7 on the year. The Cowboys also finishing 9-7. It will be interesting to see if one of these teams has also earned a wild card spot. The 49ers finished 9-7 as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. If we miss the playoffs just by not having the wins over the right teams or whatever. But yeah, both teams finishing 9-7, but boy, the Lions killing Dak Prescott in this one. Not a good game from the young quarterback, second-year pro now. Interceptions, this one should be interesting. 2 by Levy, 2 by Darius Slay Jr., Glover, Quinn, and Cyprien all getting interceptions on the day, and Darius Slay having himself another monster season there. Levy would also force and recover a fumble. 27-21, the Bills with a victory over the Bucs. The Bills finished 10-6 on the year after going 9-6-1 last year. The Buccaneers 7-9 after going 7-9 last year. There's the rookie out of Clemson, 9.8 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, 88 yards on only 9 runs. Sammy Watkins, 6 catches, 71 yards for him. Crowder had himself a touchdown on the day. Randall had himself a touchdown receiving. Defensively, Levante David would lead the way in tackles there. 2 sacks by Washington on the day. A bunch of other players going to get some sacks here as well. Interceptions, 1 by Gilmore, 1 by Adai, and then fumbles forced. We are going to have 0 fumbles recovered on the day. Gilmore would force one. 28-26, the Falcons with a victory over the Vikings. The Falcons finished the year 9-7. The Vikings finishing 4-12 after going 11-5 last year. Certainly not the season they wanted to have. They should have themselves a good draft pick here. So we'll have to see what they can make happen with that. Unless that's owed to the Eagles. I don't believe it is, though. I could be mistaken. Feel free to correct me in the comments below. Either way, though, Vikings really not what they needed to have happen this year. But yeah, the Falcons 9-7. They went 10-6 last year. We'll have to see if they make it into the playoffs because the Falcons represented the NFC in the Super Bowl last year. So if they didn't make the playoffs, we're going to have a new team in that Super Bowl game for us. So that'll be interesting to see. 17-14, the Jets with a victory over the Titans. The Jets finished 5-11 on the year. The Titans finished 7-9. They had a chance to end the season 500 over a Jets team that had been struggling, but they just couldn't make it happen in the end. The Titans were really in a position to maybe find themselves in the playoffs, but over the last 2-3 weeks, they've really been struggling, and it just kind of dropped them down the list. You see a few rookies getting involved there, Smiley and Bullet. 3.5 sacks by Casey on the day, a monster game from him. He has really been thriving there in Tennessee. They do have a lot of very good young players on this team as well, so it's going to be an interesting team to follow because I do think the Titans have a very bright future throughout the remainder of this franchise. 31-8, the Texans with a victory over the Colts here. The Texans improved to 10-6 on the year. The Colts finish 2-14 on the season. Just a huge letdown, and we've been doing the scouting a little bit. There's a very good quarterback in this draft. We'll have to see if the Colts decide to stick with Andrew Luck or if maybe it's time to move on. I mean, 2-14, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries there. I don't know the full story of what's going on, but he has not looked like the same player at all. So we're going to have to see because they're a team that I think they have the number 1 pick in the draft. And when you have a star quarterback there, be interesting to see if they can say no to that with all the question marks surrounding Luck right now. 34-31, the Packers with a victory over the Steelers. The Packers finished the year 11-5. The Steelers finished 12-4. The Steelers did look like the best team throughout the entire season, though. However, an injury that they've been dealing with, to Le'Veon Bell has certainly stalled their offense a little bit. Don't get me wrong, they still have one of the best offenses in the NFL, but not having Le'Veon Bell has hurt this Steeler team, and we've seen them pick up a few more losses here in recent weeks. Sacks, we are going to have 2 by Nick Perry, a few guys getting 1 there. Interceptions, we have 1 by Randall, 1 by Martinez there. And then fumbles forced and fumbles recovered, 1 by Clay Matthews. 35-7, the Broncos with a victory over the Ravens. The Broncos finished the year 10-6. The Ravens finished 5-10-1. The Broncos only went 5-11 last year, so much like the Bears, they've really turned their entire franchise around very quickly. Paxton Lynch has really kind of grown into the role there a little bit. They have a good backup in Zach Lindsey as well. We saw him earlier in the year, but once Paxton Lynch was healthy, he kind of took back over. So it'll be interesting to see. They do have a few good quarterbacks on that roster. I can't imagine them trying to keep them all, but they're not on the trade block yet. We'll have to follow that as we move forward, but clearly Paxton Lynch getting the job done for the time being. 42-3, the Raiders with a victory over the Redskins, and this one just not close at all. The Raiders finished 8-7-1. They had been struggling more towards the end of the season, and it was actually Connor Cook leading them in this game. Denton Ritchie, not an outstanding effort, only 126 yards, no touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over, but only 12 of 27 on the day. Really not an outstanding finish to his rookie year. The Redskins finished 7-9 on the year. They went 7-9 last year. The Raiders were a team that really did look good early on in the season. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs because they really struggled towards the end. However, they finished up quite nicely there, getting a good victory over the Redskins and finishing above 500. They're definitely a team on the right path right now, and I think they're another team to look out for in the future of this franchise. No fumbles there. 38-0, another blowout game with the Panthers getting a victory. The Panthers finishing the year 9-6-1. The Dolphins finishing 7-9. So despite going 7-9, the Dolphins did improve over their 4-12 record last year. The Panthers are a weird case because Cam Newton hasn't really had himself an outstanding season. They've really been relying on their defense a lot. But they did finish 9-6-1. I imagine that's good enough to get them into the playoffs. We'll have to wait and find out. But I do think they are probably going to be there. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do. If you remember, it was a wild card team that ended up winning the Super Bowl last year. All you have to do is get hot at the right moment. And with a big victory over the Dolphins here, maybe that's what we're seeing from the Panthers right now. They might be catching fire at a good time of the season. Granted, we didn't even see 200 yards from Cam Newton, but we all know what he is capable of doing there. Only 1 tackle for Luke Kuechly. He did get 2 interceptions, but it's just kind of odd to see him with only 1 tackle there. 28-14, the Chiefs with a victory over the Bengals. The Chiefs now at 9-7 on the year. The Bengals now at 8-8. And with that, I think it's safe to say the Bengals are likely not going to make the playoffs, which means we are going to have a new Super Bowl winner this season. And it's especially going to be interesting if the Falcons don't make it either. That means neither of the teams that were in the Super Bowl last year even made the playoffs this year. Tajay Sharp, another solid game for the Chiefs. I really don't know why the Titans made that trade. Seemed kind of odd at the time, but might be a good move that can maybe help the Chiefs compete if they can work their way into the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to make it yet, but if they do, that's another nice player for them to have, and especially for the future of this team. Fumbles forced and fumbles recovered. 2 fumbles, Atkins and Barry going to recover them there. 35-7, the Browns with a victory over the Jags. The Browns get their 4th win of the year. They are now 4-11-1. Another good game by Houston Church. 294 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. The Jags finished the year 5-10-1, I believe. After going 9-7 last year. Neither team doing well at all. The Browns went 9-6-1 last year, and the Jags went 9-7. So both teams really taking a step back. But again, the Browns do have what looks to be a franchise quarterback there. They also have Morant behind him. Again, another team getting a bunch of young quarterbacks there. I don't know what they're planning on doing with them all, but we'll have to wait and see. They have a lot of good young players on this defense as well. There's Roy Lacy, the rookie. He had an interception in this one. And then Shelton would recover a fumble. 40-28, the Cardinals with a victory over the Giants. The Cardinals now at 11-5 on the year. The Giants at 5-11. The Giants went 9-6-1 last year. So a big turnaround for them and not for the better. The Cardinals, on the other hand, went 5-11 last year. They finished 11-5 this season. So definitely turning it back around. They ended up winning the NFC West. And we saw firsthand how good their team could be, but it was really interesting that Trace Ash and Morris Presley, 2 very late draft picks for them at at running back and wide receiver, have had such a big impact on this team. So we're going to have to keep an eye on those 2 guys to see if maybe they fall down the depth chart because they don't have high overalls, or if they really gain a lot of XP from having good seasons there. 21-18, the Rams with a victory over the Seahawks. And last year in Week 17, these 2 teams played to see who would advance on by winning the division. It was the Seahawks winning last year. It's the Rams winning this year. The Rams finished 9-7. The Seahawks only 7-9. However, I don't know if the Rams are good enough to make the playoffs. Obviously, the Cardinals have the division, so they are also fighting for a wild card spot. There's a bunch of teams that were 9-7. We don't know who got in yet, but we will have to keep an eye on that. As we go forward, Bennett with 2 sacks, Perry with 1 filling in for Aaron Donald there. Interceptions, none on the day. Fumbles forced. We have 2 fumbles forced by Quinn. He would recover 1. Ogletree would force 1, would not recover it though. 35-32, the Patriots would get the victory over the Chargers. And with that, another monster game by James Vallejo. 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on the day. And again, with Tom Brady, last year the Patriots went 10-6. With James Vallejo, a rookie quarterback this season, the Patriots went 11-5. He is definitely a rookie star quarterback right out of the gate. And Patriots looking to continue the same line of success that they did have with Tom Brady. The Chargers 7-9 this year after going 14-2 last year. I don't know what happened with them, but a huge turn of events there in San Diego. Their defense not near as good as it was last year from what I could tell pretty much. Players of the week, Drew Brees in a losing effort to the 49ers, 33-45, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns for him. Levy, 7 tackles, 2 interceptions, fumble forced, fumble recovered. Casey with 13 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and then Paxton Lynch, the second-year pro, 25-35, 265 yards and 4 passing touchdowns for him. He did run for 11 yards as well. Drew Brees didn't run for anything. Let's go ahead and check out the standings. The Steelers winning the AFC North, Patriots taking the AFC East, Broncos the West, and Texans would take the South, which means the Bills are getting 1 wild card spot. and the Chiefs are getting the other, the Raiders, right outside that bubble. And had it not been for a poor second half, they might have been there. The Bengals won the Super Bowl last year. They are not in it this year. Chargers, Dolphins, Titans, Ravens, Jags, Jets, Browns, and Colts would round out the rest of the crew there. Let's go ahead and check out the NFC. The Packers taking the North. The Cardinals taking the West. And with that loss to the 49ers, the Saints not number one in the AFC. Now they are in a wild card game all of a sudden. They took the South. Bears would get one wild card spot. The Panthers would get the other wild card spot. And then you have to scroll down a little bit, and we find out the Cowboys are getting the East at a 9-7 record. But look at all the teams with 9 wins. All of these teams right outside the playoffs, including the 49ers there. Redskins, Seahawks, Bucks, Eagles, Giants, and Vikings rounding out the rest of the group, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching year number 2. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned. We are having some more videos later this week showing all of the stats and all the awards. We're showing all of the playoffs, and then the live offseason stream is taking place this Saturday. I will keep you all updated on the exact time that it is going down. But if you guys would like to have a say in this franchise, you guys would like to have your opinion heard, show up to the stream, show some support. I always appreciate it. It's always great to see everybody and talk to y'all, and I hope to see you guys there. Later.